I'm Emily Ward, the Senior Product Manager in the Product Development and Support Systems team at Xero. So myself and the team sit within Enterprise Technology, and Enterprise Technology looks after all the apps that Xero use to do their work. Myself and the team are the custodians of Xero's Atlassian platform. So what I want to share today is not just a story, not just a technical story, but a story about our team and how we set about transforming service management at Xero. So hopefully there's some takeaways for you in the audience today. If you're sort of thinking about a JSM journey or in the process of it, there might be some nuggets hopefully of in here that you can take away and think about for your own projects. So about Xero, probably a lot of you will know we're a global leader in cloud-based accounting software. Obviously proudly New Zealand born and bred, and since I'm a Wellingtonian in Auckland, I'll say proudly Wellington born and bred. So we've got about 4.4 million subscribers now, and we aim to take all the curly financial tasks away from small businesses so they can focus on doing the things that they love. Xero turns 19 next week, so we're kind of coming out of our teenage phase, and I've been at Xero for about 5 years, so over that time I've seen us really start adulting as a company and becoming a bit more mature, and part of that has been to change our tech stack and not just let anyone use whatever they want. So what I've seen is us to start consolidating tools, and that kind of brings us to us thinking of service management a couple of years ago and really evaluating what does it look like at Xero, what's the experience for our Xeros, and how is that for agents as well. So what we found is that it was quite hard for Xeros to request help, and our agents were working with a system that had been in a number of years. We had built on it, customized it, put add-ons to try and meet the feature set that we required. And at the end of the day, it really wasn't going to scale with us for the next 19 years. So we needed to find something that was going to be more cost effective and would serve us for the long term. So our goals were pretty simple at the outset. We wanted to reduce some costs and get something that was a bit more scalable and fit for purpose for us. We went out, we had a look at different tools, and we landed on JSM. Surprise, surprise. Obviously we're a big Confluence and Jira shop, so it made sense for us to start consolidating on the Atlassian platform and bring in JSM as well. A couple of things that stood out to us were the automation opportunities, so sort of just endless opportunities to automate different processes. Obviously it was scalable and would work with us for the longer term. So alongside Elegance Group, we set out to talk to all of our stakeholders. So this is one of my main recommendations, is involve stakeholders early. And the purpose of this was to map out their current pain points, seeing how they were using our previous tool, what were their workflows, and starting to think about how could we improve things for the teams. So the Elegance Group team went away, and obviously being the JSM experts, this was a brand new world to us at the time, came back with a very detailed report and sort of suggested how we could do things differently. As we went on, word kind of spread across Xero about what we were doing in ET and some of like this amazing project that we were kicking off and some of the benefits. So we got new goals. People were like, oh, this is actually an opportunity to take things a little bit further, and maybe if we spend a bit more time and put a bit more effort, we could be a bit more ambitious with what we want to achieve here and really start to reimagine what service management will look like rather than just changing a system. So we sort of, took a new look at it. So rather than thinking, okay, we'll just sort of do like for like, we'll just change the system, if there's tweaks we can make them here and there. No, we were going to sort of really relook at what it meant at Xero. So how did we work with Elegance Group? So we managed multiple different work streams in parallel with the team, so it meant we could get quite a lot done. And this was all from UX to technical integrations, understanding how different teams worked. And the fact that the catalogue was sort of a no-code solution, it meant that we could get different members of our team involved to help with the rollout rather than having to be technical. A couple of the things that I wanted to pull out specifically about our build and how we configured JSM. Of course, like any company, there's data sensitivity scenarios to think about. So of course we had a lot of those. Elegance Group were great in thinking of solutions for our people team. How can we keep different tickets confidential? How can we keep tickets confidential within a team so that only a subset of the team can sort of access them? So there was heaps of cool solutions that come up around that. And of course we had third-party integrations that we needed to consider. So all from bigger tools like Okta that we use to smaller ones, more custom built ones. For example, our Slack bot, which was built a few years ago internally at Xero. So that was all able to be configured on the back end and connected to JSM with sort of no change to functionality from the user side of things. Okay, so I talked about how we sort of had these smaller goals and then we really elevated them to being more transformational. So one of the things that really took it to that transformational level was that as part of our project, we decided to do a full content review of all of our knowledge content. So what did that mean in practice? We looked at probably more than 1,500 pieces of content that we were serving to Xero's, how to do this, how to do that, and brought it all up to a great standard that we wanted to present to our Xero's on the Help Hub. And that was really to promote a more self-service culture. I couldn't stand up here as well and not talk about our change management team. So that was another team that we got involved early and came on the journey with us, because being a team that looks at the tools a lot and is always working on the tools, as much as we try and think about the users and consider stakeholders, it's very easy to get caught up. So they were good at keeping us honest and thinking about users and stakeholders along the way. I couldn't stand up here and say, yep, our migration all went to plan and it was all great, because we all know that that's not true. That doesn't happen with migrations. As I said, we went to these more transformational goals, and our go live date was about 6 weeks from Christmas, so it wasn't a great time to be landing a big change, and we just had so much to do. So in the end, we did have to, despite all the hard work and the grit and the long hours from the team, we did have to come together and say, okay, what's our MVP product here, and what are we going to go live with? So we did have to focus down again at the end. So one of the things that we decided not to do was to not to implement Assist at the same time as going live with JSM. So that's something that we were thinking of doing, and actually decided that for our MVP that wasn't going to be quite right. And in hindsight, that was absolutely the right decision for us. But we got there in the end, and we achieved some awesome project outcomes. So we transferred across around 10,000 tickets. So we decided to take 2 years of historic tickets for each team over. And of course, we took all those beautiful new knowledge documents over, about 1,500. Big tick, we did meet our cost savings, so now we have a more cost-effective solution. So that's not just for now, but also gives us confidence that as Xero continues to grow, our costs are not going to balloon sort of at the same rate. Our users have a great experience now. It's easy to get help, and they've got all these knowledge documents. We're continuing to build on that user experience now. Since going live, we have implemented Assist for our IT team. And as I was preparing for this, so if people don't know, so that's Atlassian's AI tool which can answer questions based on knowledge for Xero. So it aims to reduce ticket numbers. And as of yesterday, there was 23% of our IT tickets that were coming into Slack were being answered by AI, which is up on last month. Things are a lot simpler for service teams as well. So we reduced the custom fields from 700 to 300. So it's a lot less noise for the teams who are actually helping users. And now we feel like we've got a more future-ready system. So as I said, we've implemented Assist for our IT team. We're intending on spreading that across our different service teams, so to our people team, our finance team, so we can really start to reduce those ticket numbers across the board. And we're also working to put Atlassian Assist into the portal, so actually people can find answers to their questions there. Working with Elegance Group, so we were in great hands working with Elegance Group. We were very grateful and pleased to be on the journey together with them. We were really impressed with the breadth and depth of knowledge of the Elegance Group team. There was certainly no question that was left unanswered. They were super responsive at any time. We've got teams that work across the globe, and so do they. So that was great. They had all the answers to our questions and willing to pivot with us. As you can see that we did pivot. So they were very willing to come on the journey with us and think about solutions to the different problems that came up along the way. So that's a super quick overview of our journey. Has anyone got questions?
I want to talk about the people in your team at Xero. So going through a project like this where there's lots of new stuff to learn, do you find that people have now transitioned to doing different things as an outcome of the project? So the roles within the team, have you had to transition people from now you're operating service for your stakeholders in a different way? Have you had to hire new people, or have you had to move people around internally? What's the human side of the?
No, it's a great question, and I did actually have in here my speaker notes didn't come up, so I had planned to say that. So the team that we did the migration with, it was quite a big team, especially when we decided to go more transformational. So we had 4 analysts, we had myself, we had a project manager, we had subject matter experts and sort of workstream leads within our stakeholder group. We had people from the strategy team, engineers, architects, and then we had the Elegance Group team as well. So it was a big team. We haven't seen any changes yet. I think in the stakeholder teams in terms of what people are doing. No sort of personnel changes there, but we're still to roll out SIS, so yeah, I suppose we're hoping that will mean people can move on to higher value work.
Is this a relatively new project for yourselves?
Yes, so we went live just before last Christmas.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Hello.
When you when Xero realised that there was room for improvement with your service management and so on, how did you get the business involved in actually buying into that and that investment and potential disruption? How did you actually kick this all off, and what did you go through to decide to use JSM?
Yeah, so it was sort of kicked off because of it needing to renew a license. So that's what sort of started it, and we did go through a full RFP phase. So I think we started working with Elegance Group would have been early last year, but I think really the project, like I said, probably started even a year before that. So it was quite an intensive RFP phase, and then working with the business to say, okay, these are the benefits and this is why we should go with this tool, and then bringing people like the strategy team on board to say this is sort of the direction that we want to take it.
Was there one particular or a couple of particular benefits that the leadership really liked that they might potentially get out of this transformation?
I mean, I'll be honest and say cost saving was one of them, but also the opportunity with AI to realise some efficiencies and get benefits from there. And I think the previous tool that we had was more a business to customer tool, whereas we're looking just internally. So while there were lots of features that we could make use of, it was sort of enough for us. It wasn't, overbaked. There weren't things that we weren't going to use, if that makes sense.
So you've reduced tickets by 23% because of using the AI component. Do you think that might increase?
I'm looking at Garrett because he's in our IT team.
I guess they all have a little bit of asterisks on it, but that's sort of our preliminary testing from putting the AI in front of our Slack channels. We've got like an open Slack channel for people to ask questions. The bot previously served up a canned response, which was just like search for content or raise a ticket. Now the assist bot out of the box will attempt to reference all of our internal content, serve up an answer. It's currently hitting about, it's not the full surface area of tickets, it's just the Slack channel tickets. Emily mentioned putting it in front of our sort of intranet help hub as well. We get about 2,000 tickets in total, and currently the surface area is about 500 tickets. So it's getting 20% of about 500. But we'd like to sort of see that surface area increased, and would expect to see a similar percentage as well.
One of the things that we're now doing is focusing a lot more on our content and optimising that and looking at it and saying, okay, what questions aren't being answered? Is our content up to scratch for answering that question? And doing a lot more work around that so that we can continue to drive that number up of how many questions are being answered by AI.
Would you do anything differently, and what would you recommend to other businesses getting ready to embark on a similar process?
The sort of change of scope didn't help part way through, so definitely being clear on what your objectives are and what you want to achieve from the outset, and then making timelines to fit that. We did have a lot of different skills in the team, so that was great, so I would recommend that, make sure you've got the right people on the team. We sort of started our journey before Assist sort of came out, so AI was introduced partway through, and then that was another pivot for us. So I think starting out now, that would be a big bonus that you've got that there and you can take that into consideration from the start and start optimising for that right from the beginning.
The requirements gathering piece at the start, was that done completely on your own, or did Elegance Group assist with that as well?
It was kind of done in two phases. So we did do it internally first before looking at before going out to RFP, saying what are our requirements that we're actually looking for in the market. That was done, I think, in consultation with some stakeholders, and then it was kind of in more depth alongside Elegance Group once we'd chosen JSM, and then we could actually say, okay, considering that JSM is our solution, then what are our requirements, and diving a bit deeper.
The product is quite big. Do you have a dedicated team looking after the product?
Yeah, so myself and the team, which is 4 analysts and we've got 2 engineers, we look after all their Xero's Atlassian platform, and I'd say we're probably stretched a bit too thin even then, so there is room for more of us.
How long did it take for the end users to use the new tool properly?
Probably There wasn't a lot of noise really. It was one of those, it was a big project for us, but there wasn't a huge change for Xeros. So we didn't go out with heaps of comms and say this is all changing and this is what you need to do. It was very intuitive. So I would say it was pretty quick. Yeah, the change was more for the agents who are, you know, in the system every day. So that probably took a little bit longer, maybe a couple of months of bedding in for those teams and us doing tweaks and getting feedback and changing things. And of course we're doing that now, we'll always be doing it. But yeah, the change, the impact to the end users, I don't think was very big at all.
And you're handling a lot of the administrative change yourselves? Like it's easy enough to actually do that?
Yeah, I mean, that was another benefit of working with a partner, working with Elegance Group, is that we sort of had, our team had someone to go to for, I guess, that third level, fourth level of support, because, yeah, it was all new to our team and it's a lot to put a new tool in and also learn it. Yeah, so I suppose that's another tip for a migration, is to make sure you've got time for the team to get familiar with the tool as well, because that's otherwise pretty daunting.
Are you doing anything to track like utilization and adoption now with the end users, and then are you doing anything with like feedback they're generating?
We have different Slack channels where people can give us feedback, so we're always looking in those and continuing to iterate and obviously work with stakeholders to get feedback. But we track ticket numbers, not so much anything else, I don't think, in terms of utilisation from users.
Is there any reporting, or is there anything that this is giving you now that's giving you optimisation suggestions or insight at all? Or?
So that's something that we're looking to now build, and of course now that we've got Rover coming out, that's something that we're super interested in looking at, is getting those suggestions of where we can optimise, certainly around our content, as I mentioned, where are the gaps there and how can we further build things up so that it's easier able to act on our behalf, I suppose, or alongside us to handle some of the questions.
You mentioned the content. Where's the content stored?
In Confluence, but yeah, we're surfacing it up in the portal. Yeah.
And do you have to spend a lot of time on keeping the content up to date as things change or processes?
So different stakeholders are doing it within their own teams, and within the IT team, we've got Rach here, who is our content expert. They're investing, and alongside PX as well, really investing in putting more effort into that and keeping it up to date. I would say as a business we used to do that more for our customer facing, obviously, knowledge, and now we're trying to bring in some of those practices, like this is how we present knowledge and help articles to customers. We want to do the same thing internally now, so yeah, we're trying to shift a bit there.
Are you finding you have to restructure or reformat the content to get better results in terms of automation, in terms of the AI piece?
I don't know if you want to answer that one, Rach. You're on the spot.
I'd like to say yes, we are setting the style guidelines to implement, with better headings, logical formatting, as we'd love our Xeros to read the content with a scan and pull out the information. The same goes for AI ingestion, that it's in a formatting and structure is key. Some of the keywords as well within titles and labelling systems as well. Not that AI is calling on that, but it's part of its, what it's gathering and enrich content and metadata with all of the content. So it's sort of rethinking how our content for support teams is created, and it's taken a little bit of work, a great opportunity for teams to have capability uplift as well and learn more and extend a little bit of what they're doing in the day-to-day, so technical expertise coming through in writing as well, and sharing that out amongst the team so that there's no one team having to look after all of that themselves. We're bringing all team members in through training and education resources available. So it's a process, and a great opportunity. I'm really excited about it with AI, and when the tickets reduce and those resolved metrics start improving, it's future-proofing for us. And, yeah.
Thanks, Rach.
Do you have, like global organisation, do you have personal information or in that? And if so, how do you handle the security side of that? I mean, was there any considerations that had to be taken there?
I'm probably not the best one to answer that, to be honest.
Last week.
I don't know if you wanted to chip in on that one,
I mean, all
Darren.
the Atlassian tools sit behind identity provider Okta,
Yeah.
so that has security restrictions on sort of what you can access from where, such as needing to be on an authorized Xero device to access certain apps. But yeah, I think Atlassian is a pretty broad tool in terms of Jira, Confluence, and JSM, so there's definitely elements of customer data and different but it's also protected behind identity providers such as Okta.
I think one thing maybe we had to think about was how we get tickets in from externals. So people emailing in, so there's a bit of thoughtful configuration around that to make sure that no random on the street could just create tickets with us and log into our portal.
Thank you.